Anecdotes for success. Level up with truth, meaning, trade-offs, perspective.
All right, tonight we have guest Alex Green on, former NFL running back and Green Bay Packer. Alex, thanks for coming on.
Well, appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me on, Matt. Appreciate it.
Glad to have you.
Sure. We're excited. Just start telling your story, and we're going to ask questions along the way, and we'll have a great conversation.
All right, let's do it. So I'm going to take you back to 2009 in the summer. This is right before I started my first camp at University of Hawaii. And I just finished at Butte Junior College, won a national championship in 2008. And, things was looking smooth, got a natty under my belt, had a great season, accomplished a lot of goals I had, but I was struggling academically. And so no schools really offered me a scholarship. And so I had a buddy, Demetrius Davis, that went to a rival high school of mine. We kind of grew up together back in Portland, Oregon. And he went to Hawaii first in December. He was a mid-year guy. And so he goes to Hawaii for a couple months, and he fills his way in, and he actually talked to the coaches to get me in. And so the coaches brought me in just off his word alone. And they flew me in for a visit, and they offered me a scholarship, and they sent me back home and said, okay, well, go back to Butte and finish 3 online classes, and you'll be eligible to come in for the summer camp, start the season in the fall in 2009. I go back home and do the classes. Like my first real taste of top-notch adversity. And I finished the classes, man. I passed them with B's and C's, and the lady who was supposed to post my grade, there's one lady left to post my grade, she didn't post it. And so I'm in Hawaii in the dorm, sleeping on the floor, waiting for this grade to get posted so that I could be officially eligible to get into the school. I think camp started 3 days, and I was just sitting here in no man's land, trying to figure it out. I'm emailing this teacher, please send my grades. She didn't send. She ended up sending it the last day, the last hour of camp. So I finally get into camp. And here I am, finally on a big stage, small city in Portland. I get to a big stage. I'm playing in D1. It was my dream since I was 7. And things going good. I was getting more carries than a running back at that time. He was an All-American running back, but I was getting more carries. He just started every game, Good player, but he just was a senior. I was a junior. So season went great, man. Ended up finishing that season like 500 yards rushing, a couple touchdowns. So the next year, I knew, okay, this is my chance to really show out. I knew I was going to be the starter going to my senior season. I knew I only had one shot to make the thing happen. At this time, I wasn't even thinking about going to the league. I wasn't even really focused on it. I didn't even like the NFL, to be honest. After like my senior year in high school, I stopped liking the NFL. This didn't look fun to me. College football was the real deal. That was explosive. It was fun. The crowd was going crazy. Like everything was just, Reggie Bush was playing. Like it was exciting. The NFL was just like, it just didn't seem as exciting to me at that time. So I was focusing on let me just finish my senior season out great, I get into my senior season in Hawaii, and right before spring ball, my best friend get killed. Jamel Taylor, he gets killed in a car accident, and my motivation just skyrocketed, and I just at this time, I think that's when like a lot of drinking started, a lot of smoking started. It was still somewhat manageable, but it definitely increased. And just to deal with that pain, and I really deal with losing the best friend, wasn't that close to death before, at 22 years old. So I'm motivated, I'm driven, going to my senior season, and have a great spring ball, going to summer camp, a great summer camp. First games go by, play USC first game, great game. And the season just rolling. I ended up breaking a record against New Mexico State, 327 yards, 19 carries. I'm gonna brag, but
pretty good.
It's pretty good.
I would brag.
I'm bragging. But broke the record. So now I'm like, okay, now I'm hearing the coaches talk about, hey, college scouts are starting to come to the practices and check me out, or NFL scouts come to the practices and check me out. And I'm still kind of staying humble and not really paying much attention to it, but I know it's there. I know it's a possibility at this point. Season go on, great season, over 1,000 yards rushing. And as soon as the season ended, we got a bowl game against Tulsa. As soon as the season ended, I go home and I get my phone blow up from all these agents, right? And so I'm signing with an agent, Michael Hoffman. Sign with him, and go to the combine, go to the East-West Shrine game in Orlando, and go through the whole process, the whole draft. And I get drafted the third round, 96 pick to the Green Bay Packers in 2011. I go to Green Bay after the lockout year, and life is just it's a whole new world, right? It's a whole new ball game now. Your phone is blown up. Everybody want to talk to you. You're the man now. And so that was a lot just in itself, let alone the playing field, which I'll get to in a second, but just dealing with that pressure of just going from Joe Blow, or just an athlete, to now you big time and you're a running back. Running backs get all the glory. Running back in the field is a big deal. You gotta really have something to you. So a lot of hype, going early pick, and I come into it blazing. Had a great spring, preseason. Everything was going great. And then there was a game against Minnesota, Week 7, that it was supposed to be my breakout year. That whole week of practice, we had plays set up where I was supposed to get all these carries and screens and draws and outside zones and all that. And the first kickoff, I go up the block, and Randall Cobb get tackled into my leg, ACL's tore. Just like that, season done. So that's when the drinking, and I'm hitting adversity again. Now the drinking is picking up more, the smoking is picking up more, because now I'm just going to the stadium for 2.5 hours, getting some treatment, getting to the ice tub, getting a little rub down, and I'm going home. Waking up at 10 o'clock, I'm out of there by 12. And I want to go home and drink all day. I play video games, I watch ESPN, when the team would travel, I'm at home for that whole weekend alone. And I was just drinking myself to misery, man, and still trying to rehab and get myself together. But mentally, it was a lot. Still dealing with stress back home, people still wanting this and this, and dealing with the fake friends, and it was just hard for me to manage my life at that time. About 23, almost 24 years old at this point, with towards the field, I'm in the NFL, I'm not playing, but I'm here, I'm still getting paid, and I still got to take care of outside responsibilities and feel like I owe people something because I still made it, and I have free time to give it to them with a visit. So the season goes on and ended, go to the off season. Now I'm slowing down my drinking this moment to get back healthy for the next season. And I do. I come back 2012, I signed Cedric Benson, so I sat by him. He gets hurt. I get a big shot and gets the Colts. Have a big 47-yard run. Now I'm the guy again. Out on all the fantasy wires and all that. And feeling good again, feeling healthy. My knee wasn't really 100%, but I'm still on the field playing and showcasing my skills. So I'm happy with that. I'm grateful for it. And again, the pressure hit again. Now I'm that guy again, and I just couldn't manage it. I couldn't figure out a way to balance my life between being a professional and still living this outside life of being cool and accepted and wanting to please everybody. Because I thought I had it all figured out.
Alex, sorry to interrupt, but I'm fascinated by that. During that time, are you getting any support from the team at all? Is that like, do they look at that and go, these things can happen. These guys got a lot of downtime, and there's help available, or is it just not? That's just not on the radar.
That's a great question, Matt. So every Monday, once a week, they had a rookie premiere or a rookie meetings that give us a big notebook, and it teaches about financial literacy, managing relationships, managing emotions, time management, dealing with outside stress, how to say no. There's all these skills. And, you got the advice from the trainers, you got the Charles Wilsons, the Aaron Rodgers, you got the guys, that's in there to give you advice, being down that road, that experience, the same thing we experienced. But it's just like going to class. You hear a lecture from a teacher and you take what interests you. And I still had a lot of pride and a lot of ego. So a lot of those things, I figured, no, that's not my life. So I'm not going to listen to that part of it. I'm not going through that. So it must not happen to me. He's talking to the other guy, not talking to me. My life is different, right? So I didn't really take in what I needed to at that time, because I felt like everything was good. I didn't have no real issues. So I just kept going on with it, man. And I took in the advice that I felt I needed to apply to my life. like being professional, coming in on time, staying a little bit later, putting extra work in the weight room. But as far as the financials and managing relationships and how to say no to the fake cousins and whatnot, I couldn't manage it. I didn't know how to really play that role. I was always like, yeah, I got it. Even if I didn't have it, I always said I had it. And so, going through the season, man, it was just it was a big game of balancing, and I really couldn't balance it. I stopped having the drive to support the family while I was focused on football, and that created a big gap between relationships, even my kids, my mom, my brothers, and all that. And so I focused more on football, man, and had my shot. And I'm still dealing with injuries, so that was stressing me out more. And I just couldn't really get myself together, really. I couldn't really fully lock all the way in because I'm still dealing with the injury. I'm dealing with stress. Now I'm feeling back. I'm not seeing my kids. I'm not talking to my kids as much. I'm not talking to my mom as much. I'm not connected on a personal level, and my foundation was rocky. So every time adversity came in, it was blown away. And so I go through the season, man, they ended up releasing me in 2013 after camp. They brought in Eddie Lacy and Jonathan Franklin. They released me and sent me to the New York Jets. At this point, I'm grateful, but I'm starting to get disconnected from the football world. There was times at practice, man, where I wasn't even excited to go to practice. I hated going to practice. Like, I hated it. Like, I dreaded going to work every day, as opposed to it's a childhood dream from 7 years old. Now I'm dreading to come here. I'm getting paid good money doing what I love. I still love it. I just hated what it all came with. And so again, while I'm in New York, drinking, picking up, smoking, picking up, even on weekdays, it go from weekends after a game or socially. Now it's just come to a 3 times a week type deal. And it's still somewhat manageable because I could stop when I had to on a Thursday, ready for a Sunday game. But right after the game, you pick back up. On a Wednesday, it's back up again. Thursday, I might shut down on Friday. So going through that whole process for the whole 2013 season, playing a backup role behind Chris Ivory and Black Powell. I come in that next spring, and they bring in Chris Johnson. They bring in Chris Johnson, Michael Vick, Ed Reed, all these greats, because Rex Ryan was on his last leg, and he knew that he had to win. We still didn't win, but he just knew that for bringing all these guys in, at least it looked good on him. Like all these Pro Bowl players in here, And so at this point, I know I'm going. I'm not going to play behind Chris Ivory, Black Powell, and Chris Johnson. So they had their guys set, and so I was going to camp, man. I didn't even care. They had me on these pain pills, taking anti-anxiety pills, but it wasn't that I had anxiety better, because I just didn't care anymore. I was disconnected from the game and completely. And I knew I was going to be out of there at the camp anyway. And sure enough, they released me at the camp. And so now I go home, season over, I go home and I'm drinking every day. Drinking every day, smoking every day, going into a deep depression, living life unmanageably, man, and trying to figure out how to be this, this ex-athlete, this ex-pro athlete at home, and trying to pick back up where I left off with my kids, my family, and just my outside social life. And I couldn't, because I was drinking myself into a misery. And I woke up one day, hungover, and I called my agent, and I said, hey, man, call every team in the CFL and let's just see what happens, right? Because then I had the issue to go play again. I knew I wasn't done yet, and I wanted to end things on my own terms, and I just wanted to give it a shot. I just wanted to see if I can still play. And if not, then it's okay with at least trying. One team reached back out, was the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Sent them, scratched up some couple of clips, sent them my Hawaii highlight tape. So Hamilton fly me up, and I get through a workout. They fly me back in to be at camp, body in camp. I go up there for camp, and at this point, I'm just grateful. I'm just grateful to be there. I'm grateful for the fellowship, the locker room, and all the little things that I took for granted at Green Bay, New York. I appreciated that much more when I was in Canada. Staying late with the coaches, all those little advices that the Aaron Rodgers and Charles Woodson gave me, I finally took notice of it because I seen the effects of it. I seen what it could do if I don't do it, right? It got me out of there. And so all those little things, right, I just appreciated just being there, working hard at practice and grinding out with the guys, and seeing other guys, young guys come in, grinding, giving them advice, being that older mentor. And getting knowledge from the coaches and understanding the game of football, especially up there, new rules and all that. So I go through the camp, have a decent camp, and then end up releasing me. To my surprise, they released me. I thought I did pretty good. So they released me, and I go back home, right? Just like that, it's over. And so I get released in August, and I'm at home from the end of August, September, and October, drinking every day, trying to figure out life, smoking my life away, back into the deep depression, this world, digging myself a hole, and I get a call back from Hamilton saying, we want to bring you back up. So I'm like, okay. So I'm out of shape. I've been drinking every day. It was a Thursday they called me, and they wanted me to be there on a Monday. So they bring me up on, they call me on Thursday, and they want me to come on Monday. So that whole weekend, I'm at the park running wind sprints, until I pass out. I'm catching footballs left and right. I'm out there having my brother kick punts to me and, trying to get back into the football, drinking water every day, eating salad, trying to lose 10 pounds in 3 days, So I go up there like, damn, they're going to be disappointed in me, man. I go up there out of shape and put me on a practice squad. Stayed on a practice squad for about 2 weeks, again, I'm still grateful, and working hard and all that. And one day I'm at practice and the coach said, we're going to start you this next game. So I'm like, okay, cool. I guess the running back got hurt, he missed practice. And so I was starting the next game. So I go start in the game against BC Lions, not too far from my hometown, about 6 hours away, 6-hour drive. So my family got a chance to come up and see me play for the first time since playing in the NFL, which is awesome, right? So I have 10 carries for 140 yards. I shut it down, right? I balled out, right? I went crazy. And I come back that next day, we flew back, and the next meeting we had, I was then the starting running back. And they traded the other running back to somebody else. So here I am again. Now I'm the guy, right? I'm the man now, right? I'm settling, like everything is good in the world, and I'm playing the sport I love, and I'm doing everything right, the little things right. And again, I got it all figured out, right? Now I'm back, I'm still grateful, but now I got to figure it out. So now I'm back on my ego trip, I'm feeling good, feeling positive. Season go by, had a great first season. I come back the next season. I break my hand the first game. I broke my hand catching Johnny Manziel's first touchdown pass.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, that was when he came up there, and I caught his first touchdown pass. And so with a broken hand, so I missed the next 6 games, And so, but this time I know from dealing with my injury in Green Bay, I know what not to do. So I wasn't drinking as much, wasn't smoking as much. And I was just focusing on recovery. I was getting better. I was working out every day, getting in shape. So I had my chance to play, which I did. 8 weeks later, I ended up having a great season. I had like 800 yards in 8 games, like 12, 13 touchdowns. I finished the season off perfectly. I go home. They called me back to re-sign. So in the offseason, I re-signed with Hamilton. They called back 2 weeks later and said, we're going to release you. Numbers game, and you only have so many Americans versus Canadians up there. And the new coach that came in wanted to have a Canadian running back, and so I was just basically asked out. So I'm like, okay, now another team in the CFL would sign me. And now I'm at home again trying to figure it out. I try to do coaching and training, and nothing really gave me that same passion that football did, because now I found a love for it back that I lost when I was in New York. So now I got it back, and I was doing great at it, And I'm at home now trying to figure out my lane, man. And I just couldn't figure out what I wanted to do that brought me that same joy. And instead of dealing with those issues, I turned to liquor and drugs. That was my coping. That was how I coped, was drinking and doing drugs. And that was a better part of 2 years where I'm trying to find my lane, man, and using everything I could to avoid real life issues, real life stress. And it took a toll on me. Like anything, anything bad you're doing is going to take a toll. This one took a big toll on me. And I went down so far where my life became unmanageable for about 4 or 5 months, where I literally couldn't manage it no more. Wasn't seeing the babies. Wasn't talking to my family. I was isolated. Even my closest friends that I grew up with, I wasn't talking to them. I wasn't answering my phone. I missed out on some great opportunities to connect with people and take on jobs. Just not answering the phone because I knew inside that I wasn't okay, and I didn't want to disappoint somebody. Got this big facade around me that everything is fine, but inside I was dying. I was going through it and struggling. So there was one day my breaking point came. I was in my car, drinking liquor, smoking weed, doing drugs, and I didn't care what the result was going to be. I didn't care if I died. I didn't care if I got arrested. I didn't care if I just passed out in the car. It didn't matter to me. I wasn't answering my phone anyway, so it wasn't many people checking on me at this point. They just figured I was okay. And I remember just with eyes full of tears, man, just calling my program manager from the NFLPA. Well, actually, I texted her, and for 7 years since I got done playing with the Jets, I thought her number was an office number. I know it was a cell phone, so I texted, giving myself an excuse, just saying like, "Hey, I need help." But to me, it was just a way to say, "Hey, well, you asked for help, so go ahead and keep doing these drugs and keep drinking this liquor. You asked for help, you did all you could. You asked for help. You reached out to somebody." I thought it was an office phone, man. I was lying to myself. You know what I'm saying? So she ended up calling me back and left a voicemail like, "Hey, I got your text message. Give me a call back." So I'm like, "Oh shit, this is a real phone." Now I gotta deal with it. I called her back as I'm doing drugs and drinking, and she's like, "Hey, what's going on?" So we sat on the phone, man, for about an hour of me just venting to her all the things I was feeling, all depression, anxiety, and fear and doubt, and how my life became unmanageable, and how I just kept doing them. I didn't know who I was, didn't know where I was, didn't know where I was going. And at some points in my life, I forgot where I came from. And she sat on the phone and she said, "Okay, we're gonna get you help." Just. And I'm on the phone like, "Look, I'm drinking right now. I'm doing drugs right at this moment." And I was crying, I just couldn't handle it no more. It got too heavy. Hopped on a flight, man, went out there for 45 days, turned my phone in. I surrendered, put my pride and my ego aside, and I decided that enough is enough. I had to get help. So I walked in there, man, with tears in my eyes, and I just got the help that I needed. And
where'd you hop on a flight to?
To Jacksonville, Florida.
Gotcha.
At a treatment facility called Lakeview Health. And while I'm there, man, the first 10 days was hell. They would knock on my door and bring me the food. I couldn't go nowhere. Had no TV in there, which was huge. Had no phone, which is huge. And I had to deal with myself, though. I had to deal with myself for 10 days straight to detox and just go through the withdrawals, man, and just deal with all these issues, all these feelings in a real life manner, being sober, and really being in my head. I didn't know, there was times where I didn't think I was gonna make it out for 45 days. I wanted to leave after those first 10. So I got out, and we did counseling sessions, we did one-on-ones, we did group therapies, and I fellowship with other guys that was in other former NFL players that was in there. There were construction workers, there was pilots, there were lawyers, there was doctors, all walks of life. We all shared the same struggle. So it didn't matter where we came from, what we did. We all shared the same common goal, the same common interest, that we was addicts and alcoholics, and we needed help. And so while I was in there, man, and talking to counselors every day, sometimes I have counselors come to my room at 11 at night because I needed it. I needed to talk to somebody and get all this shit off my chest, and so I would talk to them. I was in there eating right, I was eating healthy. I was drinking water, I was working out. Going to AA and CA meetings every night, and just being a part of something that it almost felt like training camp. It was like, okay, getting prepared to go out into the game. This is like a preseason for us. We're going through our struggles, we're gonna make our mistakes. We got the proper help right here, but once you get out of here, now life starts. Now it's real life, and use your training that you learn in treatment as your backup, as your resources to go to. So that's how I approached it. I approached like a training camp, 45-day training camp, man. When I got out, I went straight to Houston. This is my daughter at. She moved out here 2.5 years ago with her mom. So I decided to come out here and continue my sobriety journey, and I'm still going to meetings, I'm still going to therapy 4 times a week. And, life has become more manageable now. I'm 89 days sober today, and life is just like, I'm stronger mentally, I'm stronger physically. I'm able to handle stress. Like life's still life. Things still happen, but I'm able to handle it and manage it more now. Yeah, I'm able to really take it in, process it, and then deal with it on life terms and not my terms. And that probably was the biggest thing for me, man, was just dealing with adversity in the right manner without using drugs and alcohol.
Alex, your story's that's unbelievably interesting and full of all sorts of, I think, lessons in it for all sorts of people, whether you're experienced something like you've gone through or not. And I know people have been through similar struggles, and fortunately I haven't. But one of the things that I think is I can't help. I'm sure everyone's wondering. So you're going through this journey and your sobriety and why talk about it so openly? You know what I mean? Like what does it make it harder? Does it make it easier? Why do it?
It do make it easier. It do make it easier. The more I talk about it, the more it brings it to life for me, and I keep my heaven and hell very close to me because I know how, seeing the look in my kids' eyes now, in my mom's eyes now, compared to just 3 months ago, 4 months ago, is night and day. And the pain they had, seeing my mom cry, avoiding my kids' phone calls, that's what keeps me sober. That's what keeps me going. That's what keeps me wanting to get better every day and deal with these issues, deal with these problems, man, and reach out because I remember there's a point in time where I avoided everything that my life had to do with that wasn't for me. If you wasn't interested in me, if you wasn't benefiting me, I have no parts in it. It was me, all about me. Everything was about me. And so me being in that mindset, man, I messed up a lot of relationships, man. I hurt a lot of people. I destroyed a lot of things. And that's, the more I talk about it, the more it brings it to life, and it helps me remember how bad things were.
So with the years you were going through your struggle and your substance abuse, looking back, that had to be so draining compared to the clarity and energy you have daily now.
It was draining, man. It was it took a toll on me. I couldn't even hop in the shower or go take a trip to run an errand without having to drink. Just to deal with talking on the phone. Just to deal with, somebody calling me, just not even with a problem, just to have a conversation. I just couldn't manage it, and I couldn't, definitely playing football, and I couldn't manage the outside world. I couldn't manage talking to interviewers or, people reaching out to me for advice or just say congratulations. This guy came too much, and I couldn't even call. I couldn't call home. I knew inside I wasn't right, and so I couldn't even figure out a way to have decent conversations because I wasn't gonna talk on positive, and everybody's saying how proud they are of me, but I'm disappointed in myself. So I couldn't even accept their congratulations because I knew I wasn't living up to my means. I knew I wasn't living up to those standards, and I knew if they would have knew or if I would have told them, it would have been disappointing in me. So in all, I just avoided everything that came my way.
Alex, I'm curious, and maybe I don't know how much thought you've given this, but what do you think the abuse maybe stemmed from? Was it, you mentioned your best friend dying, and I think you said in 2009. I think, you were obviously under a lot of pressure. You're in the almost most competitive environment that exists, a professional athlete. So there's that. You've got all these people you've referenced that you call them, I don't know, I think you said wannabe cousins or some of those, you've got all these pressures. You've got all this glory in what that you reference as well. You're the man, you're not the man. There's this, you have an injury. Was those are contributing factors, or was this just there's construction workers out there, like you said, that have doctors and lawyers in every walk of life. Was this just destined to happen to you in some way? Was it, I mean, maybe you don't know yet.
So yeah, it was the unresolved trauma from childhood, dealing with not feeling like I was liked enough growing up, dealing with, not being the fastest. I also had relay races and track races in my team, and I was coming dead last. Not being the fastest, not feeling like I was the smartest in school. So all those little problems that kept bottling up over the years. Then I get to my junior college. Now I'm dealing with eating twice a day and sleeping in my car for 2 months, trying to figure out ways to still make a team and be proud of myself and find these little things. And they kept bottling up. My best friend passing away in 2010. All these things, man, and again, not even resolving them, just drinking about them, and trying to find a way to deal with all these things while still going on and live my life, and I couldn't. And after a while, they go to the NFL, now you got all these stressors coming. Now you got the unresolved trauma on top of the most recent trauma or issues and stresses. They got people reaching out to you for advice and reaching out to you for things, or just want to take a picture with you or see you. And I have all these issues, from growing up that I haven't dealt with it. So it was hard for me to go back and to be like, accepting to them, and to be really like involved in that when I had all these issues going on.
Yeah, that's so looking back on that, I mean, if just anyone was listening or asking for advice on that, I mean, what do you say to someone? Because people have trauma from their past, right? Everyone
Absolutely.
probably does to some degree. Some people have way more than others. I'm sure. I'm no psychologist. I don't know, but it seems likely to me that people have trauma. I mean, what do you, how do you avoid that, I guess, if you will, if people come from a traumatic background or,
Don't avoid it. You don't avoid it. Yeah, you don't avoid it. You got to deal with it. You gotta dig deep to the root of the problem. I think everybody has that inner child inside of them, and it's surrounded by layers. Some of it comes from pain, then it comes from maybe some shame. Then outside of that, might have some guilt. Then outside of that is the outlet. Which is gonna be the drugs and alcohol to deal with those things. And outside of that, you got the reasonable adult. Which telling you that I know I shouldn't be doing this. I know I should be maybe dealing with these traumas and these issues. And once we don't deal with them, that gorilla, man, he just grows. He just grows and grows until it gets on your back and it won't go off.
It's crazy. So it's been, you said 89 days now, huh?
89 days, yep.
And that's incredible. I love the mindset you took that it was a training camp. I mean, that probably was a game changer for you, I would think, having that mentality and having been through that in the past.
Absolutely, yeah. I relate everything to football. That was my life, my whole life. So I relate everything I do on the outside to football. I relate fumbling to, having a bad day. You don't think about the bad day. If I go think about that fumble, I might go out there and fumble again. So take that bad day for what it is, or that bad moment for what it is, and you come back the next day or the next play. Don't even think about it. Just keep going, keep pushing forward. I take the training camp as all the resources and all the tools that we learn. All the things all the practice and the teachings, all the lessons, all the losses. Like turn the losses into lessons and make the next one the best one. Remember when we used to lose in Green Bay, Coach McCarthy, man, he would bring us back and we'd just go back to the beginning. If we have a 2-game losing streak, we go back to training camp, day one installment, and work on those 3, 4, 5, 6 plays and start from there. So we go to our next game plan with a basic playbook, a basic game plan to be successful, and that's what I try to use in my life too. Just when things get too much, too overwhelming, I just go back to the beginning. I just start from there. I don't let it dwell on me. I don't try to add too much to it. I just know I go back to the beginning. I focus on those first 6. My structure. I got 5 key points. It's alignment. Knowing where you're supposed to be. Being in line. I got my assignment. Knowing what you're supposed to do. Right. You got your technique. Knowing how to do it. Then you got your execution, like running the play. Doing it. Then you finish. You finish your play. You finish your task. So you live by those 5 points, man. I try to keep that as structured as possible so that I don't get too high on myself, and I don't get too low. I just keep it even kill and keep it going.
That's pretty awesome. I'm sure we're gonna use that. Paul and I, Alex, we have these. We call them our 4 pillars of success, and we talk about them weekly. And hearing something what you're just talking about, similar in a sense, and it keeps you focused on things, right? It keeps you doing things the right way, and if you do that, success generally follows. I've never heard the ones you just mentioned. They're perfect football analogies, of course,
Yep.
but they obviously fit for really anything in life. That's outstanding.
Absolutely.
Well,
what's the? Oh no, I would say what's the 4 pillars you guys use?
Our 4 pillars are truth. You've always got to tell the truth. People get so focused. They get, I call them, they get ideological. They get so set on, this is my belief system, and I don't care if the facts disrupt it. I still believe it. You got to always seek the truth, even if it disrupts your belief system.
Right.
Meaning is the second one. You've got to have a purpose in life, right? You got to get that reason to get out of bed. And you're talking about you're playing professional football. Your last year, I think you said, with the Jets, and you hated going in. Well, that's not meaning, right? That's the opposite of meaning. What you want is what you're talking about when you're in Hamilton. You're glad to be there. You're mentoring people. You know, you're a leader. That's meaning to us. So trade-offs is the third pillar. Trade-offs is everything in life is a trade-off. Everything. I mean, if you want to be on the University of Hawaii football team, maybe you had to sleep in your car for a couple months, and maybe you had to take those classes. You want to do anything in life, you're trading one thing for another. The key is to make the good trade-offs, to understand what those trade-offs mean, right? You want to abuse drugs and alcohol to dull your pain. There's a trade-off there, right? It's just the way life is. And the fourth one is perspective, which you have a tremendous amount of. It's obvious. You've gone through experiences. You see things for what they are. You're looking at things from different points of view. What you felt like at 21 and what you feel like at today, and all you've been through provides you a level of perspective. You look at things. You can look at the same situation today as you did when you're 21, and you see it entirely differently because you have a different perspective. And our 4 pillars are, if you understand those 4 things and live by them, success is sure to follow.
I like that, man. So truth, meaning, trade-off, and perspective.
You got it.
Got it.
I like that. I like
Exactly.
that.
So now we have points and pillars, and really the meaning behind all that stuff is there's just so much noise and distraction out there that if you don't have a concrete way to handle it, right, you're going to drown in it. And that's what I'm excited for you. And it's amazing with athletics in general. I mean, did you come up with those, or is that something that was given to you?
I wish I did. Now, I learned that in Green Bay. That's
Okay.
what they like installed in us day one. Was those
Oh,
5
for
points.
playing even. Okay.
Yeah. That was like training camp day one.
It makes
Wow.
perfect sense, but I mean, football, life, whatever, right? And I'm sure that's
it applies. It applies to everything.
to everything. I love it. I love it.
It's funny how after you've gone through what you've been going through, how you reverted back to that, and you use it now probably more than you ever have.
More than I ever have. Like me being aligned is, staying sober, doing the right things, like taking care of the childhood trauma, going to my therapy, reaching out. My assignment, is my mission. Like what's my assignment? What's my duty? And my duty is to make sure that my kids are taken care of, that they're living the best life possible. Making sure that I'm doing my due diligence in the community. That's my assignment. Make sure I'm providing, right, as a father, as a man. My technique is how I do it. Well, I'm gonna do it sober. I'm gonna do it with integrity. I'm gonna do it passionately, and I'm gonna do it out of love. Then it's it goes to the execution. Now I got my alignment, my assignment, my technique. Now it's just about doing it, executing, my execution. Now okay, you got everything lined up. Now run the play. Get the ball in your hands and make something happen. And that's me going through life. That's me waking up every day and getting out of bed, getting ready to go into the real world. That's me running my play. That's me executing. That's me doing these interviews, going to my meetings, and making sure my family is okay. Going to see my daughter when she's having a bad day and bring her my favorite Applebee's, And then then I finish. I make sure I don't just do it half-assed. I make sure I finish the task, I finish the assignment, I finish the play. And before I lay down, I make a list every day. I do a word of the day. I do a goal for the day. I do my action to achieve that goal, that I accomplished yesterday's goal, and what I'm thankful for. Every day. I've been doing that since I was in treatment, and I took that with me when I got out of treatment. I do it every day, and I have check-ins, and every single day. So we do amends and affirmations every day. You gotta make amends to anybody. We affirm somebody who we basically showing gratitude towards someone. Then we do struggles. Are we struggling with anything? It may be I'm struggling to, like with my sleep. I'm struggling to contact this person or send this email out. I've been paying off for some reason. Whatever we're struggling with, and then we'll do a accountability. What I hold myself accountable for. So my goal might be, okay, I gotta send an email out. I gotta call somebody to get to the job or interview. So I hold myself accountable for doing that, or I hold someone else accountable, whoever I'm talking to, for doing whatever their goal was. And so leave it at that, man. Then I start my day, and we show a lot of gratitude and got some goal oriented. And it keeps me grounded and focused. Like how you guys were saying, having that meeting, it keeps me having meaning and a purpose when I'm going about my day, so I don't get distracted by the outside noise.
Perfect.
It's awesome. So we have to ask you. So what's next? I mean, I don't know if I should say what's the next training camp to you, or what's next? What are your plans for the future, or is it just today? Tell us what you're thinking.
So first things first, man, is me staying sober. That's the first things first. The next thing, man, I got a foundation coming, Dream and Believe Foundation, which we're going to pinpoint, student athletes that are struggling with learning disabilities, like how I went through. We're going to connect, we're going to bridge the gap between high school athletes and the coaches, so they get more exposure. I came from a small city, didn't get much exposure coming out of high school. But then we're going to focus on drug and alcohol, prevention and recovery. So all the things that I've been struggling with in my life, now we're going to come in and we're going to give back to the community and help the next generation. I also got a children's book coming out called Dream and Believe, and it'll be AJ Wants to Play Football. And so that'll be a part of my little, really basically about like my story, how I came up, about how kids, they got a dream, man. They can, you got a dream and you believe in it, man. You can accomplish anything. So I grew up with big dreams, man. I had dreams of being in the NFL for a long time, and it kind of faded as my life got on. But as a kid, man, it's all I wanted to do. Even on the basketball team, and the coach asked me, "What are you gonna be when you grow up?" I said, "A football player." And I was one of the best players on the basketball team. She's like, "Football player?" Like, "Yeah, I'm a football player," And so I had to go outside, man, and fall on the grass at 7 years old and get grass stains on my pants and run inside the house. "Mom, look, I'm a football player," So all I wanted to do, man, I had dreams, man, So I know there's kids like that out there who got big dreams too. So we're gonna make sure we touch their lives as well.
Is absolutely incredible. I mean, you talk about it makes it hard to look back on your journey almost and say, I don't know if I'm saying it the right way, but anything should be different, because look at all the good you're going to start doing.
It was hard for me to even watch a football game for like 2-3 years. I couldn't watch a full game because I felt so much guilt and shame. I should have done more. I should have been more focused. Here I am living my best life, living out my childhood dream, and really here, and I'm not even taking full advantage of it. And that ate at me for a long time, and that also helped me lead into avoiding a lot of issues and going to my drug addiction. But now, I'm hopeful, I'm grateful. Like, all those things made me the man I am today. So I love my flaws. I love who I am.
Yeah.
I love the adversity that I went through, because I wouldn't be the person I am today, and I'm grateful for the whole journey, man. Yeah.
It's awesome. Where will we see the foundation, and when will the book come out, or is it still too soon?
It's still soon. We're still in rough drafts on the book. It's coming out, though. Trying to get out by the end of this month, if not, it'll be out in March. Foundation is coming out this month. That'll be out this month, so we'll get that rolling as well.
We'll have a website, of course, and
absolutely, yep. If you Dream and Believe, foundation.com.
Nice, that's incredible. Hey, Alex, we thank you so much for coming on, and I'm inspired listening to your story, that how you've embraced all the hardships and just how you're going to do something good with it. I mean, I can't wait. The sky's going to be the limit for you, man.
Sky's the limit, man. We're going to take this thing as far as we can, and we're going to do it one day at a time.
Yeah, Alex, you got a great attitude. We appreciate it. I'm a huge believer in adversity. I think it is, if you want to be the best Alex Green, me the best Matt Huffnagel, best Paul Richmond, I got to have adversity. I got to have things to overcome, and the way you're approaching your life right now is inspiring, as Paul said. And look, you made a fan in me, that's for sure, and I'm sure Paul as well. And we'll be watching and in support of any way we can. And I mean this sincerely. I wish you the best, man. You seem like a great guy and a great father, and I think you keep doing what you're doing. Your football career hopefully will be a footnote compared to what your future is.
Absolutely, man. God got his plan, so I'm just making sure I'm doing my due diligence and walking his path. But Paul, Matt, man, I appreciate it, man. I enjoyed myself.
Yeah, no problem. Now, since you've been on, just remember this isn't the last you're ever going to hear from me unless you block me. Okay.
I'll be offended if this is my last time being on here, man.
Hey,
I'll be offended.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
All right, man. All love. Y'all take it easy.
All right, man.
you
Take
too,
care. Thank you.
Take care. Good luck.
All right.
Bye-bye.